Hello, everybody. Welcome to BNSFfan1848, and I want to share some news. So, more recently, we is that World Korea had a trade war with Canada, right? So, U.S. Canada trade tensions so really rough off. So, so the retaliatory tariffs are going to be effective by September, and and more recently, I saw Trump's executive order renaming Wake Ontario to Wake America, which I condemn it. Is that this is once again is that the U.S. is trying to deepen its war with Canada. So trade tensions. So I mean, Trump's attitude is becoming worse since since then, and has never improved. So for within that reason I won't accept well, let's see, because because approval ratings so that could like entirely about his career and like the actions in his office. So they put up the size. But his approval since August 21 to 24, it has gone disapproval percentage 65, and only 33% approve his job. So it's going to see an end. So now his approval ratings has gone down to 33%. So let's see if I can pull up opinion polling on the. I think it's the second Trump presidency, and but I don't know why it says 63.0, even though it's supposed to be like 65.0. But because it's most likely on Canada, as well as like the economy, immigration, and more. So, so usually it's like any of these, so like would lead to his disapproval. So, and also his foreign policy could drive up his disapproval. So and so yes, there was never a 50% in most of these categories, but some went over that. over that threshold for some in some like kind of like previous polls will it has like over 50%, but nowadays it seems like it seems many Americans oppose him and his policies now. Is the So most of them, the majority of disapprovals, and so like through military force, like supporting annexation, like so I mean like annexing countries like Greenland, Canada, Gaza Strip, and more. And so all of these is that many Americans oppose it, and me also oppose as well because I do not support and 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 this should be condemned. Most of these is that is that Trump is authoritarian, is like he's a dictator, and 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 that's why why his pollings during both presidencies have dropped, and that's why he never reached the 50% or above. N- so let's see, Trump's approval. So Canada is one of those factors. Why is approval? Wait, why is Trump approval waiting at least 50%? Let's see if I can find the exact results to why, but because I was looking for an answer to why he would never get a 50% approval or above. Unlike all other presidential approval ratings. But actually, if you look, well, like you look up the answer to why. Alright, so it's strong partisan polarization, economic concerns, and issue-specific disapproval. So most likely, if he remains like below 50%. So, and so the overall support is dropped below the majority, while the overall disapproval is above of the majority levels. So that's because many people are unfavor of like Trump's actions and policies, and so so many people choose like a Democratic president rather than just like a Republican president being like autocratic, and that a president will do this is like trying to bypass constitutional limits. And so tariffs have increased. So this is one of those, but it's also to note is that rolling back sustainability level climate actions. So this also leads to disapproval as well. So mm, again, because let's see, because I want to look at how Trump's approval ratings have been like never reached the 50% threshold. So you and most likely is that I don't know why would Trump will be taking office and like trying to like test his limits in such a way that a president will get a lowest approval rating, and that continuing its war because right now we're so impacted by these tariffs, and that annexing Canada is not okay, not okay, not okay, because right now the U.S. is not in a good shape, and that the U.S. is trying to undermine its world order. So we're in that perspective of like disapproval of like so let's see on the ones that like major reversals on my climate safeguards. So let's see. So most likely well most likely most likely that Trump opposes like renewable energy, climate change, offshore wind, and more. So Trump tried like combat like renewables, but this ultimately failed. It emboldens it. So and coal and oil they they haven't declined since then. Even when Trump tried to boost it up, it doesn't work that way because Trump can't just like control every single one. the- mm, and that like pro-authoritarian regimes that I've never seen a president like this could roll back like all of the like regulations, climate regulations, whatever we have. So I don't know why the White House does this. under Trump, even though Trump was not supposed to be in office. But somehow they let him in. So and actually the White House is full of misinformation and so this doesn't solve anything. So and so this is not something like a foreign policy, like kind of you like if you want to use like some like climate or some like rules like foreign policy, I don't mind if like using some instrument as a foreign policy agenda, but this there was supposed to be climate regulations. There was supposed to be until then, eh, like if there was enough evidence that everyone should know about climate change and all of these like important decision making in science, like mm, but then we choose the wrong way is that Trump keeps like doing all of these by opposing climate efforts, opposing let's see, opposing mail-in ballots and more. So but I know for some reason if you look at the lowest approval ratings it has. So but because of and so Trump never got a 50% in. So although it was close because it was 49.9%, and then now it was to 47%. So he got the first term and the second term, and so of the approval ratings is that this has gone decrease over recent weeks. So might be at 3%, but we could go like to the highest disapproval rating. So it's the because those supposed to be the rankings of like approvals, disapprovals of each one. So let's see. So it's 63%, but some like with like 65%, or like if it's 66%, so 65 to 66% in the middle. I'm not sure if we're gonna hit higher than that, but right now it's 63, and now it's 65. So but there was a way how you can look on the disapproval ratings that got higher than expected, but usually though is that the majority of people disapprove him, and then on the other hand is that some people today approve his job, and I'm also disapproving um his presidency. Like I strongly disapprove his presidency. So not always like foreign policy, but also sorry guys. S- but also guys is his authoritarianism and especially from immigration, crime, the economy, and so on. These all contribute to his disapprovals. So but like you seem like 61%, 63%, 65%. So the highest one might be like I told you, it's 65%. And the approval has gone well recently, so 33%. So and if it decreases to 12% more, then it will be the lowest since then. And so I was thinking about about presidential approval ratings that have been the lowest, but also the highest like presidential disapproval ratings, because I was thinking about the worst if we could ever had in its history, but is there a way how can you find a poll that has the lowest if all of presidential polling? So but there is not a single answer, but among these so most likely is that is that Truman, right? So from a high of 87%, his voting plummeted to 22% in February 1952. And so it's about the war and and as well as the Korean War. And the US committed war crimes. So that's why his approval rating has been dropped. And otherwise, like notoriously low is that approval ratings that is that Richard Nixon. So the Watergate scandal, and so that fell to 24%. And George W. Bush, whose approval sank to 34% in the Iraq War and the 2008 financial crisis. And Donald Trump, during both of his terms, have maintained a historically low approval rating among Steelers and never reached the 50%. And so at the time it was 36%. But the more it goes, it was 33%. So the second was in the modern Trump era. So after Truman. So and Joe Biden, the lowest recorded approval was 40%. But it's still above Trump's recent figures. That because although the highest approval rating you could have on Joe Biden is 55%, and so unlike all other presidents that got 50% or higher in these approval ratings, Trump does not. And so crises and policy failures can shortly affect public sentiment. So Truman's 65 points, George W. Bush 65 points, and George H.W. Bush 60 points. So and that's because it's highly polarized and so Harry Truman holds the all-time low and Donald Trump ranks near the bottom among modern era presidents. So near the bottom. So I don't see any improvement at all. Just like so, let's see if let me try what this thing is. So it's like 30% of Americans approve Trump for a foreign well 66% disapprove. But the 1% shift is within the polls margin of error. So uh, so um so usually on opinion polls is that we do this every month. And so the disapproval increase as the approval rating decreases. So but maybe 67 percent of the people who disapprove him and 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 the approval just got 30%. So 30%. And so So 30% approval rating and about 66 to 67% disapproval rating. So we could all infer is that Trump is really a dictator, and that is trying to control all the American people in the perspective, and like suppressing opinions or whatever, opposition groups, and trying to exert control over his authority. So maybe the fact is that Trump has a history of like opposing immigration and and yes, that's because the economy is at a new low. So and you can also look at this. So just only 3 states. So Idaho, Wyoming, and West Virginia. So and so this is well and see in approved ratings that a few states approve Trump's presidency, but um but very few though. Because 14, 9, and 6 are low numbers, and so and negative numbers are also low as well. So this means uh, so uh and also Trump's um attempt to suppress voters. That's why is disapproval rating got high, and I believe uh I believe that Trump should not be in office because like he's a criminal. So and also a federal judge on Friday again rejected President Donald Trump's attempt to waste his new hush money conviction. So his convictions will remain, but since then he has not been removed from office. And so hush money, whatever. And so even though he's a convicted felon, is that he hasn't gone he hasn't been impeached yet. So I was thinking about like Trump impeachment. Is that like if you look up this that many people are asking for this, including Tucker Carlson, many people and groups. So many of them are making efforts to to impeach Trump, since he engaged in like impeachable activities. So I think like using the 25th Amendment to invoke the, im- the impeachment. So most likely about corruption. What's the other one? I think it's most likely about the hush money, like kind of stuff. But and also as well as Trump's attempt to like expunge of his two impeachments. This is the darkest of. So and so there could be a possible impeachment against Donald Trump, but it is very possible but because Republican controlled, is that it's so hard to impeach him is that and without an independent like judicial review, it's so hard. It's so hard to confront him unless you have like strong power you're willing to do. So well we could see the future of how the impeachment goes. and also Trump won't seek a third term because there's term limits. So term limits, so that means Trump can't apply to the third term. But so whether an impeachment was possible beforehand, and that like successful impeachments and that barring the convicted from like holding future office, right? Is there a possibility? A possibility? So is, let's see. Let's see. Because 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 like removal via the 25th amendment is that it should be possible. But here's the problem: is that we need a majority of 2/3 to do so. And since then, the majority of members are Republicans, and it's also Republican controlled. But however, because those Democrats as well, and independents. So and so it is possible. And so let's see. So wherever an impeachment could be successful, so what I mean is that there should be a 25th amendment, and so to use it as as to impeach the president, and so let's see the process of impeachment. So and so the first impeachment against Donald Trump is that in 2019 and again in 2021. However, there could be a third one. Is that are we having a third impeachment? Well, it sounds like the there could be possible ways if we have a third one, but good work. Good work on that. And what we got there is like I dislike the United States, and that's because of the economy and Trump's presidency, so and so on, and and the most like disliked part is that the United States support to Israel, and so that also drives me up with the disapproval things that I got, and so but what I can't just tolerate it. It's like this needs to end, and I mean I wish it could be outside the United States.